Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be playing an Alliteration Clash Royale deck. And if you're not aware of what alliteration is, it's when you have a couple of words that start with the same letter or the same sound that are close together. So today we're going to be playing all the cards that have two words, and both those words start with the same letter. So we have Barbarian Barrel, Royal Recruits, Cannon Cart, Boss Bandit, Goblin Gang, Ram Rider, Goblin Giant. Doesn't really start with the same sound, but it starts with the same letter. And then Mega Minion. I think the one other card that would work is the Mighty Miner, but we can only have one champion in there, so went with the Boss Bandit. And we're going to be giving this a try, seeing if the alliteration deck is any good. And I've been thinking a little bit recently about how we kind of get over our struggles, how we get over things that we may be going through in our lives. And I've kind of realized that it comes not by focusing on ourselves and looking inwards, but by doing the opposite, and by helping other people, and by not really concerning yourself with what your own needs and wants are, but just focusing on others. And I was thinking about a couple things that I did when I was a kid, when I was younger. I volunteered at our family volunteered, I think once or twice, at we'll do this just to snipe the Dark Goblin. But we volunteered at a food bank a couple times, and then we also had a couple of Christmases where we volunteered at like a soup kitchen to help people on the street who were coming in for a meal. And I remember leading up to whenever we would volunteer for that, I wasn't looking forward to it. I went because my parents were making me go because it was a family thing, and I remember leading up to it. It's not something that I looked forward to, but afterwards it's always something that I felt better after doing, because it just takes your mind off of your own struggles and your own needs and wants, and it's just a good idea to focus on other people and to serve them, because again, it's kind of I don't want it to sound like a distraction where it's just taking your mind off of things, but it makes you feel good to help other people. And I kind of looked up I was looking up some analogies and some stories that might represent that, and one of the things that up against Speedy Tugman, not Tug Speedman, but alright, and this is starting the exact same way as last time with the Goblin Barrel in the left. Are we going to get a Dark Goblin in the right? No, I guess not. But one of the analogies that I kind of saw was of a window and a mirror, and how both of them are just a thin piece of glass. So both of them are similar in that way. The only difference is a little that the mirror has a little piece of, I don't know exactly what it is, but a little piece of silver, a thin little silver coat, and the window doesn't. And the difference is that when you look into a mirror, obviously you're only seeing yourself, and when you're looking through a window, you see the whole world. And that was kind of an example of how it's good to how you want to look outside and kind of expand your world and expand your vision. So of course the goal is to be looking through a window, and the little piece of silver that the mirror has kind of represented, I think the example it gave was that it represented money, that it represented kind of greed, but it can also represent, I didn't realize that, I forgot that those weren't spear goblins, but that's the representation it gave. But it can also just represent, instead of money, it can just represent, your needs and your wants and kind of your own desires. So when you focus on that, when you focus internally, it ends up kind of taking away from your vision, essentially. And so that's just something that I thought about, is how, when I was younger, I always felt better when I was serving. It kind of took my mind off of my own issues, and how that can be a good thing if you're struggling with something, to just find a way that you can serve other people, even if it's something that's really small. It doesn't have to be It doesn't have to be volunteer for 10 hours a week at a food bank. It doesn't have to be a huge commitment. It can be, okay, it can be something small. One of the other things we did that might be a good idea is whenever we go shopping, not every time, but a couple times when we went shopping, we picked up a couple of extra items. Like um, we would get some toothpaste, and we would get some soap and some snack bars, and we would end up putting them into little Ziploc bags and essentially making little homeless kits with them, making things that we could hand out to people on the street that were, again, that were homeless. And so that's something you can do if you go to the grocery store. You know, you can just pick up some extra supplies while you're there, make little kits. You can simply write a nice note and leave it in a random mailbox for someone to find. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge commitment of time, but just finding little ways that you can serve and help other people is something I found that's typically a good way that you can kind of cope and help with some of your own issues, because you're not focusing on yourself. You're instead focusing on others. So that's something I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully, looks like we are maybe going to win here. Let's try to do that. Let's try to end the video on a good note. Um, I guess we'll split Goblin Gang because he might lane switch on top of. No, he's not going to. Let's see here. Let's go recruits in the back. And I guess Ram Rider in this lane to kind of... Alright, not entirely sure why he did that, because I think they're all still going to stay alive. Their shields would just come off. Let's do this to make the bandit go behind the recruits. And then I guess we'll just spam a bunch of cards at the bridge and hope he doesn't have enough answers for everything. And it looks like we are going to have a couple wins today, so hopefully that is a somewhat positive note to your day. Hopefully you learn something. Hopefully you can maybe look for ways you can help others around you, because if you're struggling with something, it's a good way to kind of take your mind off of that. And even if you don't think it's a really good solution, even if you don't really think it solves your problem, you know, I can tell you that it's just a good way to make yourself feel good, to feel joy from helping other people. And it's something that I'm not very good at doing. It's something that I need to do a better job of. But hopefully you guys have a great day today, and I'll see you guys soon.